Hello and welcome, this is Mouse Gunner, and we're back with some more MechWarrior for Mercenaries. And since the last video, I've done some evaluation of my setup. First off, I'd like to apologize for the audio levels in the last video. I forgot when I create a new profile, it resets a lot of the settings to the defaults, and audio is one of the things that it does reset. So unfortunately, things weren't as dialed in as I would have liked, so hopefully it should be better in the future, but guys can let me know how you feel about the audio levels. I'm trying to keep it so that the voice acting is very audible for you guys, because there's no way for me to turn on subtitles or anything like that, but not have the other sounds be so loud and distracting. In any case, another thing that I've been evaluating is my control layout. As I mentioned in a previous video, the default controls for the keyboard are really just frankly terrible, and they're really hard to use. So I've been resetting things to the things that I think are more usable. Unfortunately, one thing that really confused me in the last video was the control layout that I had for switching weapon groups, which is a very important element of the game. And the problem is, I was using the mouse wheel to do that, which is really not that precise. It wouldn't have been as big of a problem if I could easily see which weapon group I had selected, but unfortunately, as a weapon is cycling, it turns yellow. Now normally it would be blue indicating which weapon group you selected, but the yellow color change overrides which weapon group you have selected. So that was really confusing me, because as I was cycling through the different weapon groups, it would take enough time for the weapons to recycle that I would have several weapon groups colored yellow, and then trying to switch to a different weapon group was very confusing, because I would switch weapon groups, but the color wouldn't change, so I wouldn't know which weapon group I had selected, and that was causing me all kinds of confusion. So I have made some modifications to the control layout, hopefully making it so I can have a more precise control over what weapon group I currently have selected, so that I can more easily cycle through them. In any case, with that being said, we have some setup to do for our mechs, and we're going to have quite a bit to do, as we did just get 2 new mechs, and they are going to be upgrades over the current mech layout that we have. So first thing first, I'm going to go ahead and go through the fleas that we have, and I am going to go in and strip out their weapons. The weapon systems that are in these fleas are really not that useful, but I still would like to have them in my inventory in case they are something I would like to use. So we're just going to go ahead and strip out that weapon system and hit save. Then we're going to go over to the next flea, and we're just going to do this until we get all the weapons stripped out, so that we have them available in our inventory and have more weapons to choose from for the mechs that we're going to use. If I ever change my mind and decide that I want to use one of these fleas, well, then it wouldn't be that hard to rearm them. And as you can see, the fleas don't have a particularly good weapon loadout. They only have 2 energy weapon slots that are just 1 slot size, and they have 3 ballistic weapon slots that are 1 in size as well. And as I mentioned in a previous video, energy weapons are much more efficient on size than ballistic weapons. So this is really a terrible weapon loadout for such a light mech. In any case, we're going to continue through and move on to the last of the fleas. Oh, I do need to save that. That's okay. That does always remind you when you need to save. And then we'll strip and save. And that should be it for the fleas. So now we have a couple of mechs that we're going to need to take a look at. First, we have a new Owens mech, and we also have a new Hellspawn mech. Now, the Hellspawn is going to be a medium-sized mech, so that's going to be an upgrade over our current loadout, the Cougar that we're using. But the Owens is equivalent in weight. It does have a different weapon setup, though, with mostly missile slots in the arms and then a couple energy weapon slots here. So personally, I think the Cougar is probably the better of the two, because it has more flexibility and more of a focus on energy weapons. Just doing a quick comparison here. We have 2 missile slots here, so not quite as big of a missile slot, but then you have more energy weapon slots and more slots overall, and then you have a couple Omni slots as well. So I think the Cougar has the better weapon loadout between the two. Armor's probably equivalent if we max that one out. In any case, let's go over to the Hellspawn, because that's the one we really want to take a look at. So this is going to be a 45-ton mech So that's a 10-ton improvement over the current mech we're using. And we do have some systems here. So ECM, with jump jets I'm going to take out. I've already discussed this. I think jump jets are relatively useless in this game. I mean, that you can have a little bit of fun with them, but they really don't give you much capability in an actual fight. And considering how much they weigh, I think it's always a good idea to remove them. At least that's the strategy I take. And as far as weapons, whenever you get a mech as salvage, there's not going to be any weapons allocated, but you might also get those weapons as salvage, so you can rearm them. You might just not know what the default normal setup is, but you can fill the slots as you choose. So we take a look at what we have available. It looks like the missile slots are going to be the ones that are the biggest for us. And if I were to guess, I believe the medium pulse lasers are what were in these slots here, these energy weapon slots. And if we take a look at that, the medium pulse laser is a range of 300. It doesn't do a ton of damage, but it has a very fast recycle time, as you can see there. It's only a half a second. So these are weapons we can use in rapid succession. The only thing is, as much as these don't build up a lot of heat, considering the cycle time, that is going to add up. So as we grab these and put them in, I'm probably going to use these medium pulse lasers. Now, I could grab weapons from another mech if we wanted to do that, but you'll note that the heat efficiency is starting to really drop, and all we have is energy weapons so far. We haven't really loaded out anything else. Now, as far as ballistic weapons, we have a Ultra AC-5. Now, this is going to weigh 10 tons, and we only have 11 tons available. This is not going to be very efficient for us to take. We could load out machine guns to fill these slots, but I honestly think the better move is to focus on missile systems. So I could either go with long-range missile systems, which would give me more long-range punch. It would also allow me to have lock-on capability. Or we could go for shorter range weapons and use an SRM-6, and this would be more close-in punch. It also does pretty good damage, all things considered. So this weighs 4 tons versus the 8 tons here, and you'll note 9 damage versus 12. So for half the weight, we don't have half the damage. It's much closer. It's only a difference of 3 as opposed to a difference of 6. So this is pretty good damage in close. Heat is also dramatically less. So this is a good heat-efficient weapon for us. But the downside is the SRM-6 is very close range, and also that damage value that we see, that 9, is only applicable if all of the missiles hit. And sometimes the SRMs can be a little bit tricky to actually get that to happen because they go in a salvo one after another. So you might hit a mech with the first missile or the first couple missiles, but as it moves, maybe it moves out of the line of the stream of missiles and you don't hit with the other ones. Now, I think the streak missiles have a little bit of a seeking ability, so they're going to be a little bit more of an upgrade. But we only have one of each of these. So I'm half tempted to use these SRM-6s, and just, this is an inner sphere, by the way, because it does not have the clan modifier, the little C, as are the medium pulse lasers. I could use the SRM-6 for an in-close punch. I kind of like in-close fighting. I like one of two methods of fighting. I either like in-close fighting with maneuverability, which the weapon loadout we currently have with the medium pulse lasers would actually be pretty good with that because of the cycle time. And then I also like to sit on a hilltop sometimes and just stay stationary and pound people with long-range missiles. That's usually the one of two ways I like to fight. Or use other long-range weapons, not necessarily missiles. It could be PPCs or large lasers or what have you. It depends. But I think I'm going to go with the close-in punch here. That's going to be the idea of this setup. And we're going to have a few tons left over so that we can max out the armor. So now we have a little over, yeah, we're close to 2 tons. So I could back off the armor in some location and add it in other places. Now the ECM is going to allow us to have defenses against missiles coming in. It's going to decrease enemy sensor range, and it also increases their enemy missile lock-on time. Now we could remove this because it might not be that big of a factor at this stage of the game that we have the ECM on. We could also slow our mech down, although with the close-in punch I'm going for, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. We could add in a heat sink or two to make ourselves more heat efficient so we don't have to worry about heat, as we're going to be firing probably constantly. So I'm half tempted to... I think I'm going to remove the center torso. And then I'm going to add in... I'm not going to bother with a machine gun. It weighs 2 tons. That's, you know, not great efficiency-wise. I think I'm going to add in a couple heat sinks here, maybe. And get our heat efficiency a little bit better. That does also increase our firepower. Alright, well, I think that's going to be it for this setup. And I am also going to change the paint scheme to match our previous paint schemes. So go ahead and save that. And as far as the weapon groups, we can keep this pretty simple and only use 2 weapon groups. So that's going to help me as far as keeping things straight. And that looks good to me. Now, there is a way that you can set up the weapons to fire in sequence in a group, but I don't think I'm going to set that up. I think I'm just going to keep the weapons firing simultaneously. That is going to cause me to build up heat faster, but with the quicker cycle time that we have with our weapons, I don't think that's going to be that big of a deal. With this weapon loadout, we could hammer them with the short-range missiles. And while we wait for the cycle time for that, because that's 2 seconds, we can switch over to the medium pulse lasers and then hit them with that several times while we wait for the SRMs to recycle, and then we recycle again. As much as I said the SRMs can be tricky to get all of the missiles on target, it is a good weapon to sweep a enemy with. So if you're being really mobile, sometimes you can align the shots so it kind of sweeps an area, and you might not hit them with all the missiles, but you hit them with some, which is better than totally whiffing, which is what you can do with some other weapon systems. So there are some advantages to the way that the SRMs fire. In any case, with that being said, I would like to take a look at the Owens mech that we just got. And I think for this mech, I'm going to focus on long-range missiles. More than likely setting this up for whatever default it would have had. So a couple of LRM-15s, and it looks like we just have small lasers in the kitty from here on out. We don't have any lasers to give. I could pull from somewhere else. As a matter of fact, let's go ahead and take a look at that. So, Cougar 7. Yeah, I'm going to save that just so it does. And I don't care what the group is. Let's say we just make that 2 for now. Now, Cougar 7 we did modify slightly. I'm probably going to use that. So let's take a look at one of our Ullers, which we're more than likely going to drop one of them, and see what kind of weapon systems we have. So I could remove one of these medium lasers. Downside is I don't have... I may have to just go with the small lasers for now because I don't really have a backup weapon, but that's something that we can easily replace in the future. So I'm going to go back into the Owens. I'm going to switch the weapons, and I'm just going to put 2 small lasers in. That's only going to cost a ton. And as far as the chassis goes, we could give them a Beagle active probe. That would give their missile system a little bit better lock-on ability. We could also upgrade the armor, although the armor does look like it's close to being maxed out on this mech. So we wouldn't get too much of an advantage maxing it out. Just doing the quick math here, I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tenths of a ton to upgrade this fully. I honestly think we're better off with the Beagle Active Probe. That gives the weapon systems a little bit more oomph. And I think that's going to be the setup for now. I don't know if this is ideal, but that's what we're going to go with. So this is going to be a good long-range support mech. We're going to go ahead and change that, not to the war paint, to Snowball. And save it on up, and weapon system I'm fine with the small lasers being weapon group 1. So this is going to be used by the AI, and let's go ahead and hop into our next mission here. So we're going to do Offshore A. So this is going to be a continuation of the previous offshore mission that we did. So let's click on that.
It seems the militia navy isn't giving up so easy on the Transpax Deneb facility. Transpax is happy enough with our performance from last time that we are being offered first option on a renewed defense contract.
All right. with that being said, let's take a look at what we have. So the mission, if I can get that to pop up again, there we go. The Naval Militia has escalated raids in response to Transpac Defiance. A joint force of Naval and Air Force aggressors is moving in on Deneb, a Transpax coastal holding. In response, Transpax is offering a renewed contract for base defense. All right, well, I'm going to go ahead and switch over to the Hellspawn, as I already have that set up. And then we're going to change the one Uller into our Cougar 6. We're going to change the other Uller into the Cougar 7. So we're now running 35-ton up or plus mechs. And then the last one, we're going to do the Owens. And at this point, I guess I didn't realize we can actually use a couple more Lance mates. So let's actually take a look at that. So I'm going to go to the command center. And we're going to go and select the free market. And we have personnel. So I'm probably going to look for somebody that's not all that expensive. So it looks like Angel up there is a cheaper one. And then we also have Spirit, Goof, Goblin, really cheap, Scooter. Okay, well, let's evaluate their abilities. So Angel, gunnery, piloting, sensors, blind fighting. Okay, so gunnery is one of the better skills. Sensors is another one. We could get a good pilot, but we also have to take into account that these mech warriors can get upgraded over time. You know what? Spirit looks like a really good mech warrior. Better gunnery skill than what we saw with Angel. Sensor's pretty high. The main downside is blind fighting, which is, you know, really about the same. And she is slightly cheaper. So Spirit's probably good. Goof is a better at shooting, but not as good as sensors. And then what do we have? Goblin and Scooter. So Goblin, wow, the best shot so far. Blind fighting really bad, though. And then Scooter is also not that bad. As a matter of fact, I'm tempted to take Scooter. And I think I'm also going to take Spirit here for the good sensor. And those are going to be the two mech warriors we take onto our squad. That's going to cost me about $500,000. So we'll go ahead and hire them. And then we'll close and come back over to the orbital review. So this is the first time we have our second Lance. But the second Lance is reduced to only 2 pilots. It's you can't have the full max 4 yet, and I did kind of mention that in the past. All right, so we're going to have to use Hannibal over here. I am going to switch over that Owens mech over to where he is. As that is a good... Honestly, the second Lance is going to be further in the back, so having support mechs back here is good. And then we're going to put in... Let's say we put in Spirit, and we'll give her one of the Ullers. And then we'll put Scooter in my Lance. And we'll put him in the other Uller. Alright, so we've got our two Lances set up, and we're ready to drop. Now, that doesn't mean we have more weight. Not only do we have heavier mechs, we also have more mechs, so our drop fee is going to go up, but we are making more money for this particular mission as well. So let's hop into the mission.
Welcome back, Spectre 1. Nice to have someone we can count on backing us up. Some of the other units rotating through here have been less than reliable.
Sorry to hear that, Control. Looks like you've seen some action since we left.
Roger that. Let's get your Lance out on patrol in the harbor area. We know the destroyers Arbold and Harrington are on maneuvers in the region. We've had a few skirmishes with lighter watercraft, but since we upgraded our primary turrets to Calliopes, they haven't come too close.
Acknowledge. Moving to harbor. Castle, this is Spectre. Any word on available air support?
Affirmative, sir. I've coordinated for a flight of stilettos to provide close support on the operation.
Excellent. Remind me to work out an appropriate bonus for you.
Why, you already have, sir. Signed and dated this morning.
All right, here we go. So I'm going to go ahead and switch over to...
Enemy vessel group moving on western dock. We need support at Alpha. Over.
Moving to Alpha. Light 'em up, people.
Roger. They won't get far. Bring Calliopes online.
Detected. Enemy detected.
Now, I don't have very good long-range capability, so I have to get in close. Now I'm on the SRM, so I'm gonna have to be within 250 meters for them. We're almost there. Alright, there we go. Took that guy down.
Target
Spectre 1,
destroyed.
the second wave is moving in on eastern dock. We mark both destroyers moving in to support their attack. Immediate support needed at nav point Beta.
Castle, let's get those stilettos in here. Double time.
Harpy, you are go for interdiction. Assume attack vectors.
Roger. Harpy inbound on destroyer group. Contact -30 seconds.
Nav point Alpha reached. Enemy detected.
Engaging a half dozen
Enemy
watercraft.
detected.
Squad of hovers making for the shoreline.
Alright, here we go.
Enemy detected.
The one advantage of
Enemy
water
detected.
is it actually cools down your mech if you have heat problems.
Enemy detected.
Here we go. Didn't quite get him.
Target destroyed. Enemy detected.
Come on.
Target
There we go.
destroyed.
Let's switch back over to the SRMs. I think I hit the...
Target destroyed.
Oop. Let's center my view there. Okay. Alright, I see you.
Nav point Beta reached.
Alright, I don't want to fire into the docks there. There we go. Alright. There's an enemy somewhere. Oh, I see him. Oh, okay, it's the destroyer. Here we go. We're gonna get in close, and then pepper him with the SRMs. Ooh, not quite in range. Alright, we should be in range for the SRMs. Alright, it's almost down.
Target
Harpy returning
destroyed.
for refuel and rearm. Hope we helped.
Roger. Thanks for the flyby, Harpy. Spectre out.
Alright, let's go over to Alpha. I think we still have another destroyer. They mentioned 2. May be wrong on the location, though. But we know we still have baddies somewhere.
Enemy
Oh, I see him.
detected.
He just came in. Alright. So we're on the medium pulse lasers right now. And this is a much easier setup for me to use because it allows me to keep max mobility and I don't have to worry about accuracy as much because I have a faster fire rate. Alright, so we're going to be in range pretty soon. Here we go. Let's switch over to the SRMs as we get in range of those and then switch over to the medium lasers. Oh, ow, ow, ow. That hurt. So you can get knocked around quite a bit by damage, as that just happened. That's why I bobbed and weaved all over there. That was just the damage hitting me. And as you can see, my armor, I got really messed up there. All right.
All naval forces destroyed. Harbor secure.
Damn fine work, Commander. Hopefully we won't have to fend off those pirates again.
We'll see, Control. They seem pretty determined to bring this place under militia control.
It's quiet for now, sir. Best get your lance back and debriefed. ASAP.
Roger. En route. Spectre out.
All right, well, that was a little bit unfortunate.
Second time we've secured Deneb Station, Commander. I picked up word from local sources that Admiral Carrington is bringing in mech support to make an example of the Transpax facility. Transpax has several calls in with us regarding another defensive engagement.
All right, so again, that's progressing the whole plot line of that mission. And we did get a bonus yet again, so that almost offset the expenses, and then we get $2 million beyond that. Now, unfortunately, I did get damaged quite heavily there in that salvo from the destroyer, so my mech is now damaged. That was because some locations, I think I might even lost a location looking at that damage chart just at the end there. So as a result, my mech is going to have to get repaired. This is going to take a period of time, and I may have actually lost weapon systems. I'm going to have to take a look at that. So let's take a look at the mech lab, and we see we need 1 week to repair, and it's going to cost me about $500,000 to do so. So that's obviously bad. And we're going to hit OK. And then I am going to take a look at the hell spawn and make sure I didn't lose any weapon systems. So fortunately, I did not. So we still have the SRMs, the 2 SRM-6s and the 3 medium lasers. But I thought I lost the missile rack location. So I guess maybe I had it damaged enough that the armor was stripped, but it didn't actually blow the part off. But either way, pretty significant damage there. It can be worse than that. You can, I think there's another status level which is red. That might be the mech being destroyed, but yet still salvageable. I don't remember 100% on how the different levels of repair are, but usually that costs more money and takes more time. So pretty much what that means with that 1 week cycle time is that if I just immediately go into another mission, this mech is not available. It's being repaired. So that's one thing that I have to concern myself with. The other thing that I have to concern myself with, oh, okay, this is something else that I was just about to bring up. You can skip over a week if you want to wait for the repairs. So right now, do not advance time. So I'm just telling it, don't worry about it. I could say, we're going to sit here and not do anything. We're going to eat 1 week or 1 cycle's expenses. So I can even see that if I click 1 week. So I'm going to eat 1 cycle's worth of expenses to repair this mech. I'm not going to do that, though, because we've actually reached a point where I'm going to actually jump off this planet. I think. Actually, Industry Raid might be something that we'd want to do. From what I remember, the Industry Raid is maybe an easier mission. But the thing with... this is the way I play, because I think it's the right way to play, is... I usually do these first 3 missions, maybe 4 if I do the Industry Raid on Halloran 5, and then I jump over to Eaton, and I do the missions there. I don't think it's a good idea to start with Eaton, because in Eaton, the missions ramp up faster in difficulty, but with Halloran 5, you start with the first 3 or so missions as being pretty easy, but then it jumps up dramatically in difficulty. Whereas Eaton, that doesn't happen so much. So it's a more gradual build of difficulty. As a matter of fact, we can see if we look at the difficulty status here, that new mission we have on Halloran 5, Industrial Sabotage, is a medium threat level. So we've gone from light to medium. So that's telling me that this is definitely a more difficult mission. And even though the Convoy Escort says light threat level, this is actually deceptive. In any case, I think this is a good point to go ahead and put a cut in the video, so I hope you guys have enjoyed. This is Mouse Gunner, signing out.